Welcome to my front door. I'm going to walk you through how to create a storm door, and this is what I did at home. So I'm going to walk you through all of this. It's super fun and easy to do. If you have children or grandchildren at home, this is a great way to encourage them to participate. I know my kids loved helping me do it. It's fun, and again, it's super easy to do. The first thing that we need to do is prep your front door. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a good wash. Now, as you can see, this is me washing my front door. What I had at home, I had some Windex at home and paper towels. So that's what I used. Now, you can use any glass cleaner that you have. If you don't have any glass cleaner, soap and water will work. If you don't have paper towels, any old clean rag will do. Just make sure that you clean it and then dry it really well before we get to the next step. If you do not have a glass storm door, that's okay. You can do this same thing on a window. All right, so now that you have prepped your door, we're going to go ahead and talk about the supplies that we need today. All right, so this is what I had at home. I had some electrical tape, I had scissors, I had some washable paint, and this is temper paint, and I have it in several different colors. So I had purple, white, and red, and I had some neon colors. So we had, again, it's washable paint. We have blue, green, and yellow. You're also going to need, I used just a plastic plate to put the paint on. If you do not have a plastic plate, that's fine. You could even do a piece of cardboard, just something to put the paint on. You're also going to need a paintbrush. So I used a sponge brush because this is what I had at home. And to write the words, which we'll get to later, I used a little paintbrush. All right. So now that I've gone over the supplies, we're going to now talk about the taping part. So let me grab my tape and scissors. All right, so as you can see, I am not at my front door, but this is the next best thing to use. This is a prop that I'm using to just explain the details of the taping. The first thing that I'm going to show you is the border. So as you can already tell, I've pretty much taped all the way around here a border. And the reason that you want to tape a border is if you do not want paint on the trim of your door, just go ahead and tape a border. It is washable paint, so if the paint does get on your door, it's not a big deal. But I went ahead and did a border. So let me finish the border with you now. I went ahead and pre-cut some electrical tape. So as you can tell, the electrical tape has a little bit of stretch to it, and it's just a little bit sticky. So one of the tips I have when you are taping your door is find a place. Now I'm going to place it on top of an existing piece of tape, press down, and it'll hold it in place. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick it over here onto this piece of tape. Then I want you to take your thumb or your fingers and just go ahead and press down as you make your way over the tape. And that will prevent any paint, when we get to the painting, from sneaking up there. It'll give you a nice crisp line. All right, so once you've made your border, I also want to point out that we're doing all of our taping on the interior of your door. Okay, so all this is happening inside. You've taped your border, and now we're going to move to the message box. Now, this is the message box where you're going to write encouraging words. So when I created my message box, I just did it pretty small, just enough to do 1 or 2 words. If you love quotes of the day, or if you love poems, and that's what you want to put on your door or your window, then I would make your message box bigger. So you can make it as big or as small as you would like. Okay? All right, so you've got the border, you've got the message box. Now becomes all the taping. So one of the tips that helps me start all your angles is starting taping from the bottom of your message box all the way down to the bottom of the border. So I have 3 lines. I've used this line, and this line. And once you start those, then you just begin taping. So as you can see, I did from here down to meet this one, here to here, and you just keep taping. I did not plan a pattern out. I just started creating, and there's no wrong here. Whatever shape that you want to make, that's fine. I do want to go over the technique of how to tape. So I have some pre-cut pieces of tape right here that we're going to use. And this is what we're going to do. When you're putting tape on your door or your window, you want to make sure that you are placing the edge of this piece on top an existing piece of tape. What we don't want to do is we don't want it to overlap like that, okay? So what you'll do is you want to place it there. Go ahead and bring it all the way to the top. And again, use your finger or your thumb to press. It's going to make a straighter line when you do that. So we're just going to go ahead and add some lines here. All right, there's a couple questions coming in. I'll be more than happy to answer them now. So the question is, are there other types of tape that you can use? Of course there is. One good kind of tape to use is any type of painter's tape. So the blue painter's tape, any of those will work just fine. What I would stay away from is like a really sticky, like a duct tape. I wouldn't use that because that sticky residue will stay on your glass. So anything, electrical tape will work, and any type of painter's tape is the best to use. All right, the next question someone has is the best width of tape. So electrical tape is 3/4 inch. So I would use 3/4 inch to 1.5 inch tape. I know that painter's tape comes in a variety of sizes, but I would stay under about 1.5 inches. All right. All right, so you'll just continue to do all this, keep taping, take a step back and look, see if you want to add more pieces of tape, and then keep taping until your heart's content and until you feel like you've done what you can do. There was another question. What's that question? Okay, so the message box that I had used on my front door, it was probably about 14 inches wide and 10 inches tall. It wasn't that big. It was just enough for me to put 1 or 2 words in the box. All right, so now you get the good idea of how the taping process is. It's simple, it's fun, and again, lots of people can do this. If you have a family, it's perfect because everybody can get involved in this part. All right, so now let's move to the painting. So we're going to start with this plastic plate here, and I'm going to try not to drop it. So I'm going to put on here I'm going to shake up my white paint. So I'm going to put some white. I'm going to use 4 colors, just to give you a good idea of how this works. I'm going to use red. I think I want blue. So I'm going to use blue. maybe. All right, we got blue coming here, and then I think I'm going to go yellow. And yellow. Okay, so now that's on the plate. I'm going to grab, I have several different sponge brushes, so I'm going to go ahead and set them on the plate so I don't have to rinse them out as we go. All right, so now we're going to move to my next prop, and this is amazing. I love it. Now, as you can see, I have already started to paint this door. I have a few left that I'm going to paint with you, so we're going to talk through some of the processes of how to do that. Again, the painting is done on the interior of your door. So all this is being done inside. So I'm going to start, well, I want to start with whites. So, you probably can't see this very well. I'll try to use a lot. Okay, so I am just placing the paint on the glass, and I'm just pulling the paint down, okay? Just pulling it down. And it's okay if it gets on the tape. Nobody's going to see it but you. And then that's it, okay? You do, it's similar to coloring. You want to make sure that you try to stay in the lines. If you get on the black tape or the electrical tape, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Just try to not get in another box here. All right, and if you're familiar with glass, glass can be transparent, translucent, or opaque. So you can be, glass also has different textures. It can be bumpy, it can have lines in it. So you can be as creative as possible when you're doing this. All right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to paint some red. And I'm going to just get some of this paint on here. And then for this one, I'm just going to use this sponge brush to just add some texture. And that's all I'm going to do. It just provides more depth and character. So we're just going to get through here. Sure, I have time for a question. Let's answer some questions. So one of the questions is the type of paint. So again, as you know, I'm using washable paint. The question is, can you use acrylic paint? If you are doing this on a door, I would discourage you from using acrylic paint because acrylic paint can stain clothes. And if this is a high traffic area, paint is going to possibly get on someone's clothes if they rub up against the door and rub the paint off. So I wouldn't use acrylic paint. If you are doing this on a window, then I think acrylic paint would be fine. Also, too, when I get to the cleaning process, using washable paint comes off super easy. So that's another bonus of using the water-based paints, the washable paints. I know that there's finger paints. Finger paints are washable. Use finger paints if you don't have tempera paint. All right, now, as you can see, like this yellow and this blue, it looks very light. It does dry darker. And again, it's okay because the light, once it dries, the light is going to just filter right through that. And that color will pop right off your door. Any other colors I want to use? I think I'll do blue over here. And again, we can use different, you can do little squiggly lines. We have another question. What's the question? How many coats of paint should you use? And really it depends on if you want the look to be more opaque, more cloudy, then you can use another coat. I just use one coat. It does dry a little darker, so you don't have to. If you want to, that's fine too. There's no rules to that. So I'm just going to finish here. All right. Well, the paint, how long does the paint take to dry is the question. I would say 30 minutes probably, just to be safe. It doesn't take that long to dry, about 30 minutes or so. All right, so you get the idea of all the painting. There's no hard and fast rules. Again, be creative with this. You can have little squigglies, or you can pat it to make a certain pattern, just like glass when you do stained glass at home. All right, so now that you've done this, now we're going to focus on our message square. And this is where it gets fun. I'm going to do my best today I'm going to use this paintbrush right here to paint my words. Today, I'm just going to paint the word smile. It's simple, and it's super easy to do. The difficult part of this is I'm going to do it backwards. So we're going to see how good I am and if I mess up. A tip to this, if you wanted your message board to be larger for quotes of the day or poems, one of the tips would be to use maybe a dry erase marker, like an expo marker. Go on the outside of your door and write your message. Come back in, and that way you can paint it on the inside. That way, if it storms or the weather outside is stormy, it's not going to wipe away all this hard work that you've put into it. So here we go. I'm going to paint the word smile. So we're going to see how well I do with this. So far, so good. Okay. All right, hold on. I got to write my E. I think this is it. Okay. So you can go over this. We had a question come in regarding the tape. All right. So as you can see, I've left all this tape on here, all the electrical tape. Now, I actually did my front door in the month of April. It was not hot, and I left it on for about 10 days, I believe. And when I took off the tape at the very end, it was not sticky and it didn't leave a residue. So when I did it, I did not take off the electrical tape. If it is in the dead heat of summer, I would encourage you to take off the tape because it might melt that residue onto your door. So if you plan to take off the tape, that's fine. As soon as you are done painting, you can go ahead and start pulling all of this tape off, okay? That was a great question. All right, so now all of that is done. We're going to talk about the cleaning process. Now, when I was at home and I did this on my front door, and it was time for the cleaning, I went ahead and just opened up my door and held the door open for my son, and I handed him a hose. So he sprayed it down. I again had paper towels. I went behind him and wiped everything down. He sprayed it again. I wiped it down again. The paint just melted off. At that point, I went ahead and pulled all of the electrical tape off at that point. And then I just went back and used Windex again to clean both the exterior and interior part of my door. Cleanup was super simple, super easy. All right, so that is all I have for you today. If you have enjoyed, I hope you've enjoyed learning about how to create this stained glass look using paint on your front door or your window. If you have any questions or if you would like to review what we've done here today, please visit our website at henrico.us/rec. Before you go, please enjoy this short video I have for you. It just shows me doing my front door in the stained glass look. And thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.